UChris, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
I've been a fan of your work on screen until I realized that for the longest time, I've been a fan of your work, the work that you've done off screen. I just think for the benefit of everyone who'll have the opportunity to see this, how did all of that begin for you?
Well, the acting thing was really like a big surprise for me because it was never what I wanted to do. I mean, growing up, I never thought of myself as, I never thought I'd want to be an actor one day.
Yeah.
I only ever wanted to be a writer.
Amazing.
And initially, I didn't know what I wanted to write, or I just knew that I was gonna be some kind of a writer. And one day, late in 2003, I was watching Take 5, the show Take 5, and I saw my favorite writer at the time, Christian Blomkamp, whose name I saw on Generations like almost every day.
Yeah.
And in the interview, they asked him what one needed to have studied in order to be a writer, and Christian said, you don't really need to have studied anything because it's either you are a writer or you're not.
Absolutely.
And I thought, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So he says, he said that he just went to this Generation Script department, and he asked them if he could come on board as a writer, and they gave him a script test, and he says he wrote the script test and he passed it, and that's how he got the job.
Amazing.
So I thought to myself, hey, I consider myself a writer, and if that's all you need to do to get the job, then I can do that too. And by that time, I was living in Durban. I wasn't doing anything, really. I didn't have a job, just struggling. And that's when I decided to come back to Joburg and just look for the Generations offices, script department. And I went to the SAPC because that was easier to find. I thought the script department was at the SAPC.
Yeah.
And when I got there, I realized that no, it wasn't. It wasn't there, and I had no idea where it was. They tried to tell me, but I didn't even know my way around the place. So then I thought, since I'm here and they do have Isidingo here, why not just try there? And so I went to the reception and they gave me a number to dial, like a 4-digit number, because I was inside the building. So I dialed the number and I spoke to the script coordinator, who was Winnie Seriti, who's now the executive producer of Skim Sam. And she said, okay, because it was the 24th of November in 2003, so they were about to close for the festive season. And she said, rather just come next year, because we are about to close. Even if you write the test, we'll only ever look at it next year. Yeah, the following year. So that was a bit of a bummer for me because I was like, okay, now where am I gonna stay? I have to go back to Durban. But I was like, no, it's only 2 months, so let me just hang around Joburg until they open. Something said to me, I was gonna get a job, even though I had never seen a script prior to that. I just had an idea of how you write dialogue. So, but luckily when they give you that test, there's a sample, there's a script sample. So, I wrote my test based on that. And eventually 2 months later, they called me and they said I had to come to the Isidingo script department. And I went there and they said, well, you're one of us now. So, and that was huge for me. That was, I can't tell you, can't describe that feeling. And I thought that was it, that was the end of my struggles. But it wasn't.
So, I mean, leading up to you kind of securing that opportunity with Isidingo, everything had been new to you. You get to one place, you go from A to B, B is new. Yeah. From B to C, C. And every time you get to the next thing, you think it's the thing until, oh my gosh, I need to go through another gate to get to the next opportunity. What do you think the thing is that blocks people who are trying to enter the industry from really understanding that the reality of it?
Like how it works.
Yeah, what do
right?
you think is the thing that really confuses them?
I don't know. So for me, I came from a I want to say like a disadvantaged background because I lived in a township called Mohlageng and Randfontein, and we didn't have like TV people there. So I remember when I finally got the job, the isidingo job, and I went back to the people I knew, and I kept going to people and saying, I need a computer. If you can, I got a job on isidingo, and nobody believed me. Because for them, it's like a
different world.
It's almost like the SABC is overseas.
Yeah.
I think the biggest pity about the whole thing is that I'm thinking if I came from there, there are a lot of other people who are talented there, but they will never get to where they are because they are not exposed to to TV to opportunities.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you'll find that there's a brilliant writer out there who's just has no idea where to go, and that's why I try when people contact me on social media. I try to reply and say this is what you do, because people are so clueless about the industry. It's like with people who want to act. Like everybody wants to act, and I always tell them that, look, it's not easy. You can't just say to me, awungifake, because number one, acting is like the hardest. Writing was easy. It wasn't easy, but compared to acting, it was a breeze. Because with acting, first of all, you have a lot of actors who are unemployed. Actors spend more time going to auditions than actually working. So you can't just say to me, awungifake. It doesn't work like that.
When usazama ukuzifaka wena self.
Exactly. So it's I don't know if maybe we need to create more awareness, talk more about, like, have more shows that address how you can get into the industry. I think that's something worth investing in, because we need to unearth the talent that's out there. So for me, that's like the saddest thing, that people will never. There are people who will never get this opportunity because maybe they're not as go-getting as I was.
Would you say that you feel like you're in flow now in your life now? Because, I mean, the example that you gave just speaks to how when you approach something with a lot of aggression, you create resistance. And it doesn't really, what you want doesn't really manifest. But when you kind of come with it in flow, relaxed, confident and faithful that it will manifest, then it does. So you would agree with that?
100%. I'll make you an example. So when I got into the writing thing, got the job at Rhythm City, I would write, decent scripts, but I would get like a lot of criticism from the editors. And whenever I got criticism, it was so hard for me to take it on board and then fix whatever it is that they were complaining about. So I'd get so nervous. I'd be like, they're gonna send me back to Durban and I'm gonna be a security guard again, And so because I panicked, I would only make it worse when I tried to fix it. And then in 2014, I just developed an interest for tennis, right?
Amazing.
And I started playing tennis. And as soon as I was, most of the time I just play by myself because no one wants to teach you. And, so I just play by myself against the wall. And I realized how good I got just playing by myself.
But what was it? Did you see Wimbledon? Was it the US Open?
So when I started working at Rhythm City, I started affording DSTV. Yes. So the first time
there's all the
I watched the
SuperSport
tennis
channels.
match. Yes. So I watched the tennis match and I was like, it's great. But I didn't want to play. I just enjoyed watching it. 2011. And then 2014, I said,
let me give it a try.
I'm gonna go play. It looks like fun. And then I did, and I liked it. And then I just kept playing. And I realized how good I got just playing by myself. And then I thought, you know what? Maybe I should become a professional tennis player, because then in tennis, it's just you. No one is gonna criticize you. You know, no one's gonna say, I don't like the way you play. As long as you win, you're good. So I thought, maybe I must become a professional tennis player
avoid criticism.
to avoid criticism. And then the better I got, I was like, I can actually do it. So I don't really need the writing thing.
Sure.
If the writing thing doesn't work, I'll just become a professional tennis player. And once I got that in my head,
Yes.
that now I had something to fall back on,
Yeah.
which was tennis, my writing got better.
Some people will have an understanding of you playing Uchief Dagula on Isibaya.
Yes.
But the very same people who watch that, chances are, you know, have at least seen or regularly watch Uzalo.
Sure.
#1 show in the country.
Yeah.
And it's your words.
It's and other people.
And other people,
It's
but
a
you're the
team.
head writer.
Sure, of course, it's a team. But so how the opportunity came by is while I was working for Rhythm City, Uphathu Magwarela, who's
Yes.
the head writer of every show in South Africa, he called me to come work with him on The Queen.
Yes.
And while we were writing The Queen, he said, he was also head writer for Uzalo at the time, and he said, Chris, I want you to head write Uzalo. And I said, why? I'd never thought about head writing, ever. Not in my wildest dreams. It was just not something I was interested in. And he said, it's about time that, we had more black head writers, because I think he was one of like
Very
3.
few.
Yeah, exactly, which he thought was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because, he's all about growth. So I said, hey, okay, just come work with you there, and we'll see about the head writing. And so I worked with him there, and then the producers liked me a lot, and they said, actually, we do think you should head write. So Patu left, and I still felt like I wasn't ready to head write, because I don't like to fail. I'm very scared of failure. If you're head writing the #1 show in the country, like you pointed out, and
It's an audience.
you do a bad job, an entire show goes down. When the credits roll, you see how many names go up your screen.
Yeah.
You're failing all of those
Those are
people.
the jobs,
So that's a huge responsibility, and I didn't think I was ready for that at the time. So I declined, and then they hired another head writer. And while she was head writing, I got the opportunity to act on Isibaya. And I thought,
But even the opportunity to act, you declined before.
I had declined like 4 years earlier. Or is it 5? Because I met Engas in 2014, and from the first time we met, he was like, "You should be on screen. You should be on screen." No. And eventually they got me, because Engas got me. So the Isibaya role got me at a time when I was like getting slightly bored with writing. Just be like, I've been doing this like since 2010. I would like to do something, because writing is hard.
Yeah, it is.
Writing is hard, and it consumes you.
Yep.
Especially like storylining for a soap, because there's no break. Like, you just keep doing the same thing over and over.
Move it forward.
Yeah, and so when he came to me again with this role, I was like, I would love to do something, different. But again, I was scared to fail. So no, I don't want to do it. And he said, no, just try it. And if you don't like it, then you'll stop. And then eventually I said, hey, okay, let's.
And then you tried it?
And so he said because they have another show, Isthembiso, so he said, okay, go play this role in Isthembiso. So it's just like a few calls, like 3 calls max, and your character dies in like 3 episodes.
Okay.
If you don't like that, and then I like the idea of dying on screen. I was like, that's so cool. And then I went and I did it. And first day I was hooked.
Oh my
Like,
gosh, yeah.
I want to do more of this.
Yeah.
And then I was sad when my character died.
What you want once you yeah.
And I was sad when my character died, and then they said, okay, now will you play this one?
Yeah.
I was like, absolutely.
And you controlled that role, hey? You were the chief everyone loved to hate.
I know. The hate hurt me a bit.
Yeah,
Like,
it was
but I understood.
We would watch you on screen and think, but why is he the chief? Oh, but he's so good. Oh, but he's so bad. Oh, but he doesn't deserve it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was fun, especially because the character is so different from who I am. You know, so to me it felt like a game, really. Like I'm just going there and pretending to be somebody I'm not.
Yeah.
You know, that was a lot of fun. I think if he was a good guy, I would have found it very boring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you really know is the one thing that, what do you really know right now in your career?
What do I really know?
Something that you've learned along the years that has really amounted to you becoming who you are today.
What I've learned, I think for me, the most important thing is that you will be what you are meant to be.
Amazing.
I know that because, you know, just thinking back to where I was born and how I came to Joburg, you know, the first time when I was a kid, when I was like 7, you know, because, I mean, there was a big chance that was not going to happen, but it did happen.
Yes.
And it led to where I am now.
Today.
Because I think if I had, you know, grown up in where I was born, you know, these opportunities would never
have.
If I had never seen a TV screen, you know, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't be sitting here talking to us.
Exactly.
We wouldn't be watching your words on TV every night.
Yeah,
okay?
sure.
Thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you.
Congratulations on all the opportunities you've had. Thank you for the contribution you've made to the industry. I think a lot of the times people whose work is behind the scenes goes less noticed and less appreciated than people whose work is really front-facing. So thank you very much. I think you've given a lot of people opportunities to shine. And I think it's your time to shine as well. It's your hour.
Thank you so much.
And I hope you'll want it now and you don't reject it.
Now I want everything.
Right? Right? Thank you.
Thank you so
Thanks
much
so
for
much.
having me.